he's saying, O God, my father Abraham, and God, my father Isaac, the Lord which saith unto me, return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. So he's saying, okay, now God, now you done told me return. You know I left on bad terms. My brother was angry with me. I've sent him cattle. I've sent him manservants. I've sent these things to him. You know, I'm admitting to him that, yeah, well, I done wrong. So, you know, here's some of the bounty of what I have received on my way out. But God, now I'm praying to you. You the one told me return. I'm supposed to now be the chosen one. I the one that has the blessing. You said you're going to do well with me. So I'm praying to you now about the situation. All right? So then it goes on and says, I am not worthy of at least all of thy mercy and of all the truth which thou hast shown unto thy servant. For with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I became two bands. So even though you've said that you're going to do well with me, I'm still scared. And I'm still doing what I'm doing. I'm being humble. I don't deserve your mercies, for it kind of seems like I don't trust you. But God, take care of me. I'm yours. All right? Now he comes right out and says, deliver me, I pray thee, from the hands of my brother, from the hands of Esau. For I fear him, lest he will come and smite me and the mother with the children. So he says, not only is he going to kill me, but he's going to kill everybody. Lord, you need to what? Protect me from my brother. He's coming with 400 men. Protect me with my from my brother. Then it goes on, and it says, and thou sayest, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sands of the sea, which cannot be numbered for the multitude. So what is he doing now? He's coming right now, and he's saying to him, look, God, you done made a promise to me. You said that this is what's going to happen. I'm going to be the father of many nations. Protect me. There's nothing wrong with reminding God of his promises, is what he said unto you humbly, saying, God, look, I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen. Remember what you said. So it's okay to do that. Some people will say, well, you can't say those things to God. You just got to believe God. Well, we're human. God knows that we're human. So therefore, it's nothing wrong with reminding God what God has promised unto us. Then it goes on, and it says, and he lodged there the same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present from Esau his brother, 200 she-goats and 20 he-goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 male camels with their colts, 40 kine and 10 bulls, 20 she-asses and 10 foals. And he delivered them into the hands of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servant, pass over before me and put a space between drove and drove. So again, he's still being careful. Even though he's praised God and he prayed to God and asked God to protect him, he's still being tactical. He's still saying, well, if this happened, I'm still going to put things in place. I'm setting a plan in place just in case I need to run away from my brother. And it goes on in verse 17, and it says, and he commanded the foremost, saying, when Esau my brother meeteth thee, and asked thee, saying, who art thou? And where goest thou? And who art thee before thee? Then thou shalt say, they be thine servant Jacob's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau, and behold, also he is behind us. So again, he's saying, look, your brother's being kind. He's giving you things. He's presenting you with presents. And so, he's admitting, look, I've done wrong, here, have this and have that and have the other. Then it goes on, and so commanded he the second and the third and all that followed the drove. On this manner shall ye speak unto Esau when ye find him. So he's going to give him one present. He's going to give him two presents. He's going to give him three presents. And it's not just one present, of course, group of presents saying, look, I want you to be pleased. I want to show you my gratitude. I want to show you my love. I want to show you also that I am repenting of what has been done unto you. All right? Then it goes on and it says, and say ye moreover, behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us, for he says, I will appease him with the presence that go before me, and afterwards I will see his face, peradventure he will accept me. So he's hoping, I'm giving you all these things, you will accept me now. You don't want to kill me, because remember, when he says, when I get to see him, I'm going to kill him. So hopefully he's saying he won't kill him. And 21 says, so went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. So he sent his band ahead of him. He's not moving now. He's timing out when he's sending one out, waiting a while, sending another out, waiting a while, and sending the other out while he stays where he is. He's not going to join one of the bands. He's going to send them out. All right? Then it's going to go ahead on and Genesis chapter 22. Verse 22 in chapter 32. And it says, and he rose up that night and took his 2 wives and 2 women servants and his 11 sons and passed over the ford Joppa. And he took them and sent them over the brook and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone. And there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. So now that even in that last one, he sent his wives and everything as well before he even came himself. So now he done sent all his possessions, he done sent all his servants, he done put them in camps, and now he's sending his family. And he's still not coming forth because he's there left in the camp by himself. Right? Then it goes on and says, and when he saw that he prevailed not against him, 24, I'm sorry. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled with the man with him until the break of the day. So he wrestled a long time. Okay? And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he took the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, and he wrestled with him. So it's saying that the angel knocked his thigh out of joint. And if you read something now, I was reading something about this earlier where it says that the hollow of meat that come out of there now, it is tradition in the Jewish faith, and you can research this and I'll look it up again, was considered to be precious meat, divine meat, or holy meat. And then it goes on and it says, and he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou blessest me. All right? Did someone have a question? I see it said, good evening, my pastor. Oh, amen. All right. I want to make sure you'd have a question out there. Are there any questions? Let me stop right here. If there's some questions, now is the time to type it in or tune in or unmute your phone. Are there any questions? All right, hearing none, let us go on forward. All right. And where did I stop? Verse 27, well, 26 again. And he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go except thou bless me. So obviously, Jacob knew this was more than just a man. This had to be an angel. This had to be some entity from God. So now he done prayed because he's scared. He's left by himself. He wrestled with the man. He said, now you got to bless me. You know, I'm scared. I'm afraid what's going to happen. I'm afraid what's going to happen with me and my brother. You need to bless me. I need the favor of God upon me. You know, a lot of times we get into situations and circumstances that we've gotten ourselves in. All things work together for our good, true, but it's always good to ask. Ask and you shall receive. Seeking you shall find. Knocking, the door shall be open unto you. Yes, something bad might happen. However, know that you've learned from the situation. Know that it's going to work out for your good, and know in the end it's going to work out. Especially if God told you, I'm going to be with you. I'm not going to forsake you. I'm going to take care of you. And so this is where Jacob is now. God has told him, go home. I got you. I'm going to bless you. I'm going to be with you. So now he meets this man or this angel. He says, look, and he didn't just wrestle with him for a little while. He wrestled with him all day until he said he was going to bless him. And let's see what happened. And now this is the man talking. He says, and he said unto him, what is thy name? And Jacob said, my name is Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as prince hast thou power with God and with man, and has prevailed. So he said, what he's saying now, okay, I'm going to bless you now. Not only am I going to bless you, but I'm going to change your name. Your name is no longer Jacob, with some, we talked about this earlier in Bible study. Jacob means more than trickster. It means one that grabs the heel. What happened to him during his birth when he got ready to came out, he grabbed his brother's heel. Therefore, he was named Jacob, but also Jacob does means trickster as well. So now the angel says, you have prevailed. I'm going to bless you. How am I going to bless you? I'm going to change your name. I'm going to change your name. So many times we realize the names, some of us think names doesn't mean anything. Names do mean something. We need to be careful of what we name our children or change our names too. What does your name mean? Does it mean something good? Does it mean something divine? Does it mean something as a child of God? So we need to be careful of what we name ourselves. So here we see that Jacob's name has been changed to Israel, which means surplanter or ruler or a prince of God. So that's more of it, a prince of God. Because you see in the next scripture it says, because now you have power with God and with men thou have prevailed. Let's read the way it says. It says, and he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel, for as a prince have thou power with God and with men, and have prevailed. Then it goes on from there. It says, and Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there, saying, what you need to know my name for? You told me you want me to bless you. I done bless you. Now you want to know what my name is? That's really not important. You've gotten your blessing. I blessed you. Now I need to be on my way. And it goes up, and Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. So it's not that he saw God himself, but he saw a representation of God there. And so when he named that place Peniel, that is, he named the place Face to God because he said, through this angel I've seen face to face to God because I prayed to God and God has met me here through this particular person that I've been wrestling with all night. Amen. And so I have been answered face to face of my prayers and been blessed face to face by the entity of God. Then it goes on and says, and as he passed over Peniel, the sun rose up upon him, and he halted upon his thigh, because his thigh had been knocked out, so he wasn't quite walking as well as he was, because remember, the angel knocked his thigh out. Now 32 is what I was saying earlier. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank. So because of this happening, the tradition was we're not going to eat of that particular thing, that particular meat in that part of the thigh from anything. Well, I thank you for tuning in with us here in chapter 32. Next week, we're going to take up the mantle again and going to go into chapter 33. So we ask that if you have any questions, bring them with you and let us know, and we will address those questions before we get into the next session. From this point, we're going to go into our study, which we are studying managing projects in ministry. Managing projects in ministry. And if you're on Facebook Live, you'll see that there is a presentation up now of what we're doing today. All right? So, as we go on into the session, we're going to go on to the next slide, where it's telling us, it's giving us an overview. And what I'm going to do, as you look at the overview, I'm going into my booklet here, and we just ask you to read over that overview. And what it's really talking about is talking about how God actually in the Bible and God's people use the order of project management in order to do the things that was done. And it's showing you that, telling you about even in the disciples when they first established the church and they started having problems, the disciple said, look, it's only 12 of us. We need to stay with the word, so we need to break this task down into teams. And they didn't just choose anybody. They went and said, choose some people that are devout among you that we might appoint them and give them duty now. And those particular people were appointed duties that they might carry out the various tasks, because what had happened was some of the widows and orphans had been neglected because, of course, the disciples were so busy establishing the church, setting up rules, preaching the word, that nobody was there to do those things that needed to be done. So that's when we first see the establishment of lay leadership. Lay leadership. And most of our churches are set up like that, especially in our church. In our church, we have various organizations that do different things. We have the WMS, which is Women Missionary Society. We have the Sons of Allen, which is our men's ministry. We have the YPD, which is our young people's division or department. And also, we have various things that we set up that we do in order to get things done. So let us go forth to the next slide. There are three critical components of project management. Of course, we have the project itself. That's whatever we're going to set up to do, the need that's needed to be done, the occasion. It could be in the church. It could be Men and Women's Day. It could be church anniversary, whatever it is that you have set up in order to get done. We have project management, of course, that's managing the project itself. And of course, we have project management. That is that particular leader that is chosen to overhead that particular event that is going on. All right? Project. We see here what is a project. It says most practitioners define a project as what? A unique set of coordinated activities with defined start and finishing, starting point and starting and ending point. Undertaken by an organization to meet specific objectives within a defined schedule and cost of performance parameters. It says a project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product or service. So what is that really saying? You're not going to have a Men's and Women's Day every month. It is a one-time event that may happen every year, but during that, what we call conference year, that is a temporary thing. That is not something that we do every Sunday. It is something that we have set up. With us, what we do is we come together in what we call planning meeting to plan out our projects, because our projects are set up for particular needs of the church. And we're going to talk about that later. But we hook up various projects that meets a need. Once that need is met, then we go on to another need that we have and a different project that supports that particular need. So that's what it's saying, that a project has a definite beginning and a definite ending. When it talks about temporary, it means that every project has a definite beginning and a definite ending. So note that. And I'm asking that if you have your books, follow along with us in our books, and that's right there on page 8, but it's also here in the handout in the slide presentation that we have on board. Now, to understand the term project from a social context, consider the following characteristics. And we said that earlier in our early classes, we said what? Projects have a purpose. Projects have a clear defined aim and is set out to produce clearly defined results. They're set up to solve a problem, to address a need, or provide a particular service. So it doesn't necessarily have to be Men's Women's Day. It could be a food drive where we've hooked up in a ministry where people are to come out at a certain time to pick up their food. So we have to have it organized. A leader has to come, has to have people know what time the people there. So a project has a purpose. And then number 2, we said a project is realistic. Their aims must be achievable. We are not going to set up something that we're not going to be able to meet. So when we make a project, we can't say, okay, it's 6 of us. We're going to do a project. We're going to raise $1 million in one meeting. And we know that the people around us don't have $1 million, or we're going to get 100 souls saved, and we know that probably majority of the people are going to be there, going to be saved. So you have to have a realistic goal for whatever it is that you're setting up your project for. And it says projects are limited in time. Again, as we said earlier, it has a definite beginning, a definite ending. We're going to start at 6 o'clock. It's going to end at 9 o'clock. It might run over. However, you do have a set time. Then we said that projects are complex. In other words, projects call on various planning and implementation skills and involves various partners and players. Everybody don't know how to do everything. So projects are going to assist some people that may be able to make up go out on the computer and make up the brochure that they're going to hand out that they're going to be following. Some might need to know how to play a piano. Some singers need to know how to sing. Speakers know how to speak. There are definitely various skills that need to be in place. And on that team, you need to make sure that you have the knowledge and the skills on that team in order to get what you need done. All right? Then 5, it says projects are collective. What do we mean there? We're saying projects are the product of collective endeavors. They are conducted by teams, involve various partners, and cater to the needs of others. In other words, we don't just have a project just for one thing. A project when we preach, is not just to teach, but it's to also win souls. It's not also to just win souls or people accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior, but some goals may be able to increase your membership. Some goals may be able to encourage people to get over situations and circumstances that are going on. Some projects may be set up to speak truth to power. So there are various reasons why various projects are set up. It's not just for one particular purpose. To understand projects, you go on to say projects are unique. So what do we mean by unique? All projects stem from new ideas. Too many times we do the same thing over and over and over and over again. You know, a lot of people, you know, they want to do something different. It's more than one way to do something. You know, everybody may not want to come up dressed up all the time. Maybe you want to come relaxed one time do the project. Maybe like some projects we have captains. So those captains has already set up where they've already taken up the funds. So you don't have an open take up funds at that particular time. You just call for the class leaders, and those class leaders, you know, announce what they've done. So, you know, you may not want to always have a preacher. You might want to have a play or skit, or you might want to do liturgical dance. Be innovative in what you do. You want to keep people's attention. And if you continue to do things over and over and over the same way, you're going to lose people. But if people are excited about what are they going to do this year? They did this last year. Let's see what they're going to do this year. Long as you've done it well, they'll be excited about to see what's the next thing that you're going to do. So make it unique. All right? So on 7, he says projects are an adventure. Every project is different and groundbreaking. Projects always involve some uncertainty and risk. So know that when you go out there, make it exciting. Be excited about what you're doing. But no, everything's not going to work. Some things you might have to change. You may not be able to meet your goal this particular time, but learn from what you've done and improve on it as you move on to do things that you are doing. All right? Let me pause right here. Are there any questions? And if you have questions, we ask you to bring them up now. You can type them out there on the internet, or if you want to have a question on the phone, unmute your phone now. And are there any questions? Okay, seeing no questions, let's go on. And it says projects can be accessed. What does that mean? Projects are planned and broken down into measurable steps or phases, each of which is evaluated as the project activity progresses. So as you do things, you break it down. It's not just one thing. Okay? So you look, what we do is, and we already do this practice in the churches, every project we sit down and we evaluate what happened, what went well, what did not go well, what can we do better, what was our strength, what was our weakness. We do a SWOT analysis, in other words. All right? So, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as we get deeper into this project. And lastly, in 9 it says, projects are made up of stages. Projects have distinct identifiable stages. From the definition, a number of activities undertaken within the context of the church operation can be considered projects. Examples are plans for an evangelism strategy, plans for a daycare center ministry, plans for organizing a prayer breakfast. One of the ones that we're working on now is that we are working towards having evangelistic training, and that's going to be done by Reverend Ida Sue Graham, and we look forward to putting that together. We're getting all the information together for we can get that together, that hopefully we'll be able to have her not just on the telephone, but also be broadcasting where we are broadcasting now. And it'll be interactive where you can ask questions. It won't be just a one-way thing because we need to learn how to go out there, how to approach people, how to invite them to the church, how to do the things that we need to do as a church. Let them know that we're welcoming them. Not necessarily to join the church, but going out there to find if there's a need. Find is there the need that we can meet, doing a investigation, But most of all, we're going out and do what the Great Commission says is to go out and make disciples. Make disciples. If you're around anybody, look at them and say, make disciples. All right? So projects are made up of various stages. So let us move on from there. And projects, okay? As distinguished from other forms of management or management processes, projects are unique, temporary, one-time events with distinct beginnings and endings. We said that earlier. Next, each project follows a basic process referred to as a project life cycle. Look at your somebody around you. If somebody's around you, or say to yourself, project life cycle. The life cycle is a logical sequence of activities carried out to accomplish a project's goals and objectives. All projects go through a series of stages during their lives, regardless of scope, size, or complexity. All projects, not just one project, not just a special project, but all projects go through this particular cycle, no matter what size they are. All right? Project management life cycle. The project management life cycle is a complete step-by-step methodology for initiating, planning, executing, and closing a project successfully. And this was said by Jason Westland. And if you read your book, hopefully you have, where he says what actually a life cycle is. So let's get into what a project life cycle is. Right. Project life cycle, there are, and there may be more, but in this particular case, when it comes to ministry, initiation, planning, execution, and closure. Initiation, planning, execution, and closure. So what is this initiation thing? Uh, um, Within the initiation phase, the ministry problem or opportunity is identified. Why are we having this meeting? What is going on? Why is this particular project being put on? It is a solution for what? What are we doing it for? A project is formalized and a project manager is appointed. So once we figure out why we're having it, what is the purpose for it, right away when it says project manager is appointed, we're saying that we get a chairperson or chairpersons, because we know sometimes it's not just one person in charge, it may be co-chairpersons. However, someone has to be in charge of that particular project. So the project manager begins. Once that's done, the project manager will go out and say, well, who has the skills that I need for this particular project? Who can be best at the project? Is someone done this before that can serve with me to make this project successfully? Or is there someone that I can help train, be my apprentice as I do this? For next time when we do this, they'll understand the process of how to bring this particular project to fruition, or set it up to be implemented, or set it up to be done. All right? Of course, and then the planning. The planning is critical. You say to yourself, it's critical. It involves outlining the activities, the tasks, the dependencies, and the framework required to execute a project. For example, Men and Women's Day, okay? You got to have somebody to do a welcome. You got to have somebody to read the scripture. You have to have somebody to do the prayer. You got to have a worship leader. When is the best time it's gonna be? How much is it gonna cost to do this? How much is that gonna take away from our profits? What are the risks identified with doing this project? Is this project going to be at the same time something else is going to be done? So what you have to do is you have to plan it out. Who's going to be the best speaker for this project? How much is that speaker's going to cost? Is there going to be cost? Should we use someone in the ministry to do? Is that person popular enough that he or she will draw people forward? So it's the planning phase. What are we going to wear? What songs are going to be sung? Are we going to serve dinner? All of those are part of the planning process. Now, from the planning process, of course, once you've got everything planned, everything done, it is the day. And that is the execution phase. The execution phase is where most of the work on the project takes place by that particular team that you set up. This is where the plans put together in planning phase get done. All of the tasks are accomplished. The project manager and team members monitor and control the project tasks and activity to ensure the expected outcomes are achieved. So now we've actually been talking about a program, but it could be a feeding program that you were doing. Is everybody in place? The truck has arrived. Is everybody lining everybody up? They're putting things in boxes? You're watching it to make sure everything is executed the way it's supposed to be executed. But not only are you watching, but you are evaluating it as well for when afterwards you have an after action. We're going to talk about that later. Of what has been done. So you're monitoring every activity, and at the end, you are seeing whether you met the goal that needs to be done. Of course, that brings us to closure. Now, this is where the project manager and the team and the pastor and the congregation assess how well the project has done. If it's about raising funds, did we meet our goal? If it's about winning souls, did we win any souls? If it's about speaking truth to power, was it effective? Did it have a cause and effect that we said it was going to be? If it was a feeding program, how many people did we feed? Did we feed people? You know, so this is where we come together and we actually do the evaluation on what was done. This is the life cycle, meaning it has an initiation, meaning you chose that particular, what you're going to do, planning phase, how you're going to get it done, executing, doing what you said you were going to do, and closure, evaluating what has already been done, and looking at the pluses and the minuses. All right? So let's move on from there. Project management. Project management is defined as the planning, monitoring, and control of all aspects of the project and motivations of all those involved in it in order to achieve the project objectives within agreed critical of time, cost, and performance. Project management is a paramount in a church setting. A church project is a unique, time-constrained event that requires planning, organizing, and resources, material, funding, and people to bring about the successful implementation of a ministry or church goal or objective. So this is kind of like a summary of what we've been talking about. All of those things. This is all lumped in one, telling us about what project management is and what are we doing within the in order to be successful project managers. All right. Difficulties associated with conducting a project. We're going to stop right there for a second and ask, are there any questions so far? Are there any questions? Now it's the time. You can type them there on the screen, or you can unmute your phone at this time if you have any questions. Okay, well let's move forward. All right. Difficulties associated with conducting a project. According to experts, there are two difficulties that have an impact on the church. The fast growth of human knowledge. You know, a lot of times we do stuff the same way all the time. And people, you know, why aren't you using the internet? You know, why aren't we moving forward? Why aren't we doing it this way? What is happening? We need to get with the times. And if we want to move forward in the church, we cannot stay doing things one way. That doesn't mean that we're going to lose tradition. That doesn't mean we're going to lose culture. I think I gave this example before with the telephone. We went from rotary dial to digital, and now we got smartphones. But we still have the phone. So we're not going to lose the essence of what we're doing. We're just taking a hold of the knowledge that we have in order to do the things that we do in order to get what we need done. And two, the growing demand for a broad range of complex and customized service. As times change, needs change. I said again. As time changes, needs change. As time changes, needs change. Before, remember we had a clothing closet? Sometimes now we don't ask for used stuff because people won't bring their best stuff. They'll wait until it's all, you know, used up and holes in it, and then they want to turn it and give it to somebody else. When they got their closet full of new clothes they can't wear anymore, that stays in there until they come rot or get holes or even till they die. So people don't want that stuff. They want stuff that they can wear, they can be proud of. You know? So we need to realize there's a growing demand for a broad range of complex and customized service. Not only that, people might want to, not a handout, but they might need a financial class to teach them how to handle their money, to teach them budgeting, to teach them the things what they knew. Well, you say if you give a man a fish to eat, he gonna eat it and be wanting some more. But if you teach the woman to fish, then they can support themselves. They are able to go out and do what they need to. So it's not always giving. It could be because giving sometimes can hinder people. Giving sometimes can handicap people. But if you empower people in order that they may be able to do the thing for themselves, then you have really made a difference and made them a value to their community. So it's different ways to do different things, and it's more complex, more customized. You know, some people might, um, you know, want to learn how to do an interview, learn how to tie a tie, learn how to what clothes to wear. You know, different services are available, so they're coming complex. All right, all right. So just take a minute and we're going to ask, are there any questions? Are there any questions at this particular time? And while you formulate those questions, give me just one moment while you formulate your questions. Give me a moment. Okay, we just have a few more slides to go, and we're going to finish up here. It's about somewhere around 7, what time is it? 7:30? Yeah, around 7:30. So let's go on. It says how projects get executed. Projects are not a one-person effort. Again, a project generally are not a one-person effort. Most are executed by a group of people or a team. It is important to not be a sole individual trying to do everything. Pastors are guilty, want to just head everything and do everything and be in charge of everything. But we got to be like the disciples when, you know, they said, look, we got to do this. We need some folk to do that. We need to realize that we have knowledge in our pews. We have skills in our pews. God has not just called us, He called each and every one of us to be soldiers of the kingdom. He's called each and every one of us to be disciples, each one of us to be able to go out and do the things that we have been designed to do. All of us have a gift. Everybody don't sing. Everybody don't get along with people. Everybody can't talk. Everybody can't pray. Everybody. So you need to use the resources, which are human and their skills, in your church in order to do what needs to be done. What did that first thing say? It says the project team is a critical foundation of any project. A project leader will do well to look out for its interests even before it is assembled. Then it goes on and says, although project teams have many interests, an overriding one is simply to be able to do the project, given the time, cost constraints, and the service to be delivered. Don't take on nothing you know you can't do. If you can't do it, say you can't do it. You need help. You always can get help because somebody out there always knows how to do the things that need to be done. Then it says other key interests are to have a smoothly running project with minimal uh, disruptions from changes or having the resources to do the job when they are needed. If you're going to plan a project, make sure you can afford to do it, number one. Again, let me say that. If you're going to plan a project, make sure that you can afford to do it. Do not go out there and say, oh, we don't have the funds to do it. We'll pay it at the end. Make sure you have what you need before you do the project in order to raise what it is that you need for the project to be done. And in the planning stage, make sure you plan it out so you won't be changing everything every 5 minutes or every too many changes where people will get discouraged and don't want to be a project because the planning phase wasn't executed well. The project leader must understand that building an effective team requires more than simply selecting people to work on the project. It involves team size, ideology, interaction, and communication, along with team development stages. In other words, what you need to do is you can't just choose your best friend and your best friend gonna be a hindrance or they can't do what you need to do. Don't be choosing your favorite. Go out there and use the talent that you have. But also make sure it's some people you can work with as well. So you got to be selective. And you don't need to too many hands spoil the pot. You don't need a whole bunch of people. You just need the right size to do what needs to be done. And please make sure you're able to communicate. Make sure people are understanding what they need to do. Make sure that you have people that will respect you for who you are and what you're doing. And we're going to talk about that here in a few moments. How projects get executed. Team development includes the team forming into first a team or a group. That means more than one person. Getting to a point where the team members establish operating norms. Again, being able to communicate. Let them know that you are open for communication if they have questions. Tell them everything. Let them know everything. One person don't have to know everything. Let everyone know everything. That way everybody can understand what's going on. Working through initial and norms, misunderstands, that's what should be misunderstandings, that results in building trust. Okay, what does that mean? Somebody might not be understanding what you're doing. Somebody may not understand why you do what you do. Somebody might understand why you chose somebody to do what they're doing and why you didn't choose them. Be clear about what you do, why you do what you do, and make sure everybody understands what's going on. And when you say something, please stick with it. Don't let nobody change it unless the person that you've asked to do it come to you themselves and say, I don't want to do it. Or let that person evaluate themselves to see, well, I'm not going to be able to do it. But it's still a result of you talking to that particular person, not taking cues from somebody else. And then it says, be able to work together as a cohesive group to perform. Oh, hello, Deborah. I'm glad you could come on. Amen. Being able to work together as a cohesive group to perform the required objectives. What does that mean? Even though it might be easy to do, if you got the wrong people doing it, you won't be able to get it done. You're arguing over everything. No, you got misunderstandings. Make sure everybody understands everything, where they fit in it, where they're part of the puzzle, how important they are to the puzzle, no matter how insignificant you or they might feel that their position is. All parts are important. Every part is an important role, from cleaning the church to setting up tables to ushering, whipping people in, to all parts are important. You need to have a well-oiled group knowing that this is what I'm going to do, when I'm going to do it, this is my job, and I'm going to do it well. In project management, all teams go through these stages as they establish effective team building. And that should be TEAM, not TRAM. We'll make that correction. All right. Project manager. What in the world is a project manager? We've been saying it all times. Well, here's a definition for you. Project manager is defined as one who is required to wind up their project within established schedules. Did you hear what I said? Project manager makes sure that it's done in the time that's allotted it's supposed to be done in. The budget, to make sure you don't overspend. And the quality of the standard, the best it can be done. They work with the pastor. See, it's not the pastor. Somebody's working with the pastor, the congregation, and the leadership board to secure the appropriate members to participate on the team project or the project team. Meaning, now the project leader may not know everybody that's good at what they need to do, so you want to take clues from the pastor, clues from congregation. They may have some suggestions on who might be a great asset to the team to do what you need to do. Also, it says the project manager is the team leader. That's the chairperson. The project manager must possess the proper skills to lead the team to accomplish each task and reach the goal that has been set before them to accomplish. That does not mean that the project manager has to know how to do everything, but the project manager do need to be able to talk, communicate. We're going to get in that in a few minutes about the skills that are needed to lead in order to get something accomplished. Project manager skills. Got to be able to plan. Got to be a good administrator. Got to be able to communicate. Got to be optimistic. You got to be salesmanship. You got to be frugal. And I skipped that one just intentionally for you to just look at that third one on your own. Just look at it. We are used to planning. We're used to administrative. We're used to communication, optimism, salesmanship, frugality. But what does that third one mean? Just take a moment. Take a moment. Think about it. Think about it. Nobody pronounced it. Tried to get somebody to pronounce it. Nobody pronounced it. Psychology. What does that mean? What does that mean? Why would they have to have that? The skills meaning you got to be able to think right, know right, speak right. It's a mental thing as well as a physical thing. Any comments? Any comments? No comments? All right. Now you all are quiet. You're usually talking around about this time. I just feel like it's one way. So let's start making some comments here. All right. And if you follow along with me in the booklet, you want me to go back? Okay, we'll go back. All right, there you go. Moving forward, project managers must be aware of the following. The team members are volunteers. In the church, they're volunteers. They're not paid employees. So don't be talking down to somebody, disrespecting them. Know that they are volunteers. You want a good team, you got to know that they are volunteering their services. A lot of times we as pastors get carried away. We want to order folk and tell folk, you're going to follow me because I'm the pastor, you're going to do what I say. But the church is a voluntary place. People can leave and go to other churches. Matter of fact, a lot of people do when they get upset and get mad. Better to ask somebody something to do rather than barking orders because you think you have power. The members must have faith in them. They got to have faith in that you could do what you could do, that you're a good leader, that you have their interests in mind. We're going to talk about that. The members must feel the project manager have their best interests. Respect is earned, not given. The way you want people to treat you, you treat them. You in charge, they know you the project manager, but that don't mean you got to be a tyrant. That don't mean you got to have the last word. Everybody have opinion. Let people speak out. The team must care for each other. You can't have a whole bunch of people fighting left and right or doing things, everybody needs to have some quality of care. I'm glad you're on the team. I'm glad we can work together. I know if you're on the team, we really can get what we need done. Appreciate one another. No matter how small the skill, no matter what is done. A lot of times, especially now during this outbreak with Corona, we see people all the time. Thank you, Kroger workers. Thank you, hospital workers. Thank you, police officers now. Thank you. All kinds of people are being thanked now for what they do for security and everything. Appreciate people. If you want to be appreciated, appreciate them, especially if you are considered their leader. All team members may not be a member of the church as well. You might need some experts outside of the church that's on the team. You know, you might be working with the food pantry or a food dispensation center in the town or in the city. They are part of the team because they are the resources that you have to go to in order to do. It might be people from other churches that come and assist you to do what you need to do to get done. So it may not be just people from your particular church. So you have to know that and understand that as a leader. Treat people the way you want to be treated. All right? Characteristics of a project manager. An organizer. What is an organizer? Capable to understand, plan, coordinate efforts and resources to meet objectives. Well organized. A strategist. What's a strategist? Able to set clear, long, and short term objectives, keeping these in mind together with the reasons for the project's existence. In other words, hopefully you're not going to be able to do, somebody going to give you a project one day and it's supposed to be the next day. You're going to plan it out. What can you do right away? What can you do next week? What are you going to do all the way leading up to the particular thing? You're not going to cook the food, of course, until that day. But I can get the speaker or, you know, the set up with the musician. When are the choir practice dates going to be? All those things. You got to be a strategist to make sure that everything's in place to get what needs to be done. Need to be a good fundraiser. Knowledge and confidence to apply for funds, to administer and account for them with integrity, and that is so important. You got to know how to raise money. Everybody don't know. You got to know what works and doesn't work. You got to know how to meet that goal. If the goal is $10,000. You got to figure out how in the world we're going to put that together in order that we might raise that amount. You got to know how to do those things. And if you don't know, that's what you have the finance committee, people who've done the project before, the pastor, other people, maybe not even in your church, that have done this before. You could get suggestions from them, but find out. You got to be a good fundraiser. You got to be an activist. What does that mean? Someone able to spot initiatives and to organize ideas into meaningful Christian actions with clear values involving over time. Where am I? I'm gonna set up a clothing closet not just for people in the church. You know, it's a problem going on in the community. We want to meet a need in the community. It's not just for us. We don't have a benevolent account just to pay church bills. We have a benevolent account to help not just the people in the church either, but help people that need help. Got to be out there knowing what's happening, when it's happening, doing what needs to be done. Got to be a visionary. What in the world is a visionary? That's someone able to imagine social good, innovation, and change. You got to be able to see things before they are. The Bible says, when you get the vision, write it down and make it plain. You got to be able to see something that's not happened yet. But you can see it be done. You can see it be accomplished. You can see the end results before it even happens. You got to be a community worker. You got to be somebody who people know and recognize and have respect for. Or you are involved in the affairs in the community. Pastors, you can't just be pastors preaching in your church and then going home. People got to know you in the community, know you in surroundings. You got to be involved. A social worker, capable of caring for people without replacing them. Just because you can't get along, have mercy. Something wrong with them, you can't address it. Got to be a social worker. You got to learn how to listen. Help people sort things out. That don't mean you have to have an answer. Half the time people who have problems know the answer. They just want somebody to listen to them so they can think out and see whether their thinking is right or wrong. Nobody asks you to solve their problem, but at least you're an ear to understand, someone to pray with them, someone to seek an answer with. Too many times we try to solve problems and we mess people up. Being a social worker as a Christian, that means you need to know how far you can go. You might need some professional help. Hey, we can't handle that, but I know here's some resources that you can go to. Here's someone you can call. Here's a phone number. Here, I Dr. So-and-so and so, counselor so-and-so and so. Got to be a teacher and a learner, capable of empowering people while at the same time being able to learn from the experiences and using that knowledge for the church, projects, or community. Monitoring and evaluating processes in relations to the objective, changing plans, and ultimately achieving those objectives in relations to the circumstances. You don't have to be a know-it-all. You can learn something as well. But you got to be able to teach. Got to be able to empower people. And you got to be able to listen as well. There's more than one road to lead to success. Several roads could be done. Might be an easier road. That might not be the best road. Might be a longer road, but it is the best road to go. Might be something that's more cost effective that you're doing. There's more than one way. So you need to be a teacher and you need to be a learner as well as a project manager. All right? And as we come to an end, a summary about project manager. Project manager in the church is what? A leader within a spiritual context. You're not just any project manager, you are representing God and the ministry that He has given us and the things that He has put on our heart to do. Leaders in the church serve because they have been what? Called to do so. Therefore, it is that they are in right relationship with God through Jesus Christ in order to worthily execute their service. This was said by one of our bishops, Bishop Gregory Ingram. You just don't get anybody. And there's comments that I won't make today, and I'm going to talk about it a little later. Just because somebody's great at something and they can do certain things, but they don't know the Lord, and then you're going to have them over people who are Christian and know the Lord, you're setting yourself up for trouble, setting yourself up for failure. God has given everything we need in the church. You just got to find them, pray about it, let the Lord lead you to them, and then set them up with all the people that have all the skills and all the character and everything they need in order for it to be a success. God will not give us something that we cannot handle. You need to realize that He will not give us something that we cannot handle. A project manager is an influential factor in project execution and success. The leader is responsible for leading the project team in planning, organizing, monitoring, controlling the project activities in order to accomplish the project requirements in support of the broader ministry for Christ. The buck stops with you as a project manager. You're supposed to understand it. You're supposed to make sure things are done. You're using your group, but the buck stop. Don't try to put it on somebody else. The buck stops with you if you are the project manager. They must be called and led by God in performing their duties. The church project manager makes sure that every one of the members perform together as a unity and harmoniously. And that should be united together. We'll make that correction on there. But you need to make sure everything is gelling. Everybody's together, doing the things they need to do. If there's a problem, you need to solve that problem. If it's a conflict, you need to, work through that conflict because you want a team that's going to be cohesive, work together, and get what needs to be done. And all this planning is set up. All this planning, as we go to the widescreen, is set up. All of this planning is set up for the success of your project. Well, we thank you for tuning in with us again for project management in ministry. We'll be going on. We do ask that you will read ahead in chapter 3. We just thank Mr. Vincent Wyatt Howell for publishing a book. That's the book that we're going through and learning. It is very valuable. For those that don't know, I'll hold it up for you. It's a great book to read, and it helps you to empower your church to work and succeed at all those things that you need to get done. Not only does the book give us information, but it gives us templates and different things we can work to in order as we go through and teach the booklet. Again, we thank you for tuning in with us for our Bible study and for our project class. I look forward to being with you on Sunday morning. Again, Sunday morning for Central Time, it's 8:30. For Eastern Time, it's 9:30. Again, this is Camp Hope African Methodist Episcopal Church, located at 114 Camp Hope Church Road, Macon, Georgia, 31211. Let us hear from you. Drop us a line, drop us a note, and let us come together and reason that we might get understanding. Thank you again for tuning in, and let us pray as we close out our session today. Lord, we thank you, we praise you, we glorify you. We pray that we have taught or did something that someone is empowered in order to do the things that they need to do. Lord, help us to perfect ourselves. Our theme here at Camp Hope, Lord, you know, is come grow with us. That's what you gave for us. Grow in all that we do. Become excellent in all that we do. Not for our glory, but for your glory. So we ask that you would empower us, that you would let us learn and be wise and understanding of those that we do. And let us not do it for ourselves, but let us do it that we might be able to empower the ministry, that the ministry might be able to empower the community, that the community might be able to empower the world in saving souls, in meeting needs, and being a voice for you. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen. God bless you.